In the ancient land of Canaan, a tale of rivalry and redemption unfolds. It is the story of twin brothers Jacob and Esau, sons of Isaac and grandsons of Abraham. Welcome to Bible Stories and Chronicles channel. If you like to hear beautiful stories from Bible, please subscribe to the channel and like this video. Thank you. Esau, the elder twin, was a rugged outdoorsman, a skilled hunter who favored the open spaces. Jacob, on the other hand, was a quiet and introspective man, more comfortable in the tent tending to domestic matters. This fundamental difference in their natures would become the crux of their tumultuous relationship. From the moment of their birth, a struggle for dominance emerged. Esau, born first, was favored by their father Isaac. Jacob, the younger twin, held a special place in their mother Rebekah's heart. In those times, the firstborn son inherited a birthright, a double portion of the father's wealth, and the mantle of leadership. Esau, as the elder, was entitled to this birthright. However, Jacob, cunning and ambitious, yearned for the privileges that came with it. One fateful day, Esau returned from a hunting trip, weary and famished. He found Jacob preparing a lentil stew and begged for a portion. Jacob, seizing the opportunity, offered to trade a bowl of stew for Esau's birthright. Driven by hunger and perhaps underestimating the significance of his birthright, Esau agreed. This seemingly insignificant transaction would have profound implications on the future of Jacob and Esau. Years passed, and Isaac, now old and frail, prepared to bestow his final blessing upon his eldest son. Unaware of Jacob's earlier deceit, Isaac summoned Esau. He instructed him to hunt some wild game and prepare a savory meal, after which he would receive his father's blessing. Rebekah, overhearing this exchange, saw a chance to secure the blessing for her favored son Jacob. She quickly devised a plan, a deception that would exploit Isaac's failing eyesight and ensure Jacob's inheritance. She instructed Jacob to fetch 2 young goats from the flock. With these, she would prepare a meal that tasted just like Esau's usual game. Furthermore, she clothed Jacob in Esau's garments, their rough texture mimicking the feel of Esau's hairy skin. Jacob, though hesitant at first, ultimately agreed to his mother's plan. "Esau, my son?" Isaac called out, his voice raspy with age. "It is I, father," Jacob replied, his voice trembling slightly. "Have you found game quickly, my son?" Isaac inquired, his hand still outstretched. "The Lord your God granted me success," Jacob lied, stepping forward and placing his fur-covered hands into his father's. Isaac, reassured by the feel of his son's hands and the scent of the savory meal, had no reason to doubt. Satisfied, Isaac leaned back and, with a trembling voice, bestowed his blessing upon Jacob. As Isaac finished speaking, the real Esau returned from the hunt, his arms laden with freshly killed game. He entered the tent, his face beaming with pride, ready to receive his father's blessing. Imagine his shock and fury when he learned of Jacob's deception. "Bless me too, my father," he cried out, his voice thick with anguish and betrayal. Isaac, feeble and dismayed, could offer no solace. Esau, consumed by hatred and resentment, vowed to kill Jacob. Rebekah, realizing the gravity of the situation, intervened. Fearing for her favored son's life, she urged Jacob to flee to her brother Laban in Haran. And so, Jacob, burdened by guilt and fear, embarked on a journey into the unknown, leaving behind the only home he had ever known. With his mother's blessing and a heavy heart, Jacob fled from Beersheba, beginning his long journey to Haran. Each step took him further from home, further from the wrath of Esau, and further into the embrace of the unknown. The journey was arduous. He traveled alone, his few possessions strapped to his back. The scorching sun beat down on him by day, and the chilling desert winds whipped around him at night. He had only the stars to guide him, and the faint hope of finding sanctuary in Haran. Days turned into weeks as Jacob traversed the harsh landscape. He ate sparingly, his thoughts consumed by the events that had driven him away. But through it all, Jacob persevered, driven by the promise of a future free from the shadow of his brother's anger and the weight of his own deceit. One night, exhausted from his travels, Jacob stopped to rest. He gathered a few stones to make a pillow and drifted off to sleep beneath the vast expanse of the starlit sky. That night, something extraordinary happened. Jacob dreamt, and in his dream, he saw a ladder reaching up from the earth to heaven. Angels ascended and descended this celestial staircase, their wings rustling like the wind. At the top of the ladder stood the Lord, his presence both awe-inspiring and comforting. The Lord spoke to Jacob, reaffirming the covenant he had made with his forefathers, Abraham and Isaac. He promised to bless Jacob, to make his descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky and the sand on the seashore. He assured Jacob that he would not be alone, that he would be with him always. Jacob awoke from his dream filled with wonder and a newfound sense of purpose. The dream filled him with hope and fortified his resolve to face the challenges ahead. He built an altar there, offering a sacrifice of thanks to the Lord, and continued his journey with renewed faith and determination. After weeks of travel, Jacob finally reached his destination, Haran, the land of his mother's family. As he approached a well on the outskirts of the city, he saw shepherds gathered with their flocks. It was here that he met Rachel, his cousin, the daughter of Laban. Rachel was beautiful, with a gentle demeanor that immediately captivated Jacob. Eager to prove himself, Jacob offered to work for Laban in exchange for Rachel's hand in marriage. Laban, seeing Jacob's strong work ethic and devotion to Rachel, agreed to the arrangement. Jacob worked diligently for 7 years, tending Laban's flocks and proving himself to be a capable and trustworthy man. His love for Rachel only deepened with time. However, Jacob's life with Laban would not be without its trials. 7 long years Jacob toiled, his love for Rachel a beacon in the often challenging landscape of Laban's service. Finally, the long-awaited day of his marriage arrived. A celebration was prepared, a feast under the stars, filled with music, dancing, and the joyful anticipation of the union of Jacob and his beloved Rachel. However, Laban, ever the manipulator, harbored a deceitful plan. On the wedding night, shrouded in darkness and veiled by the customs of the time, Laban substituted his elder daughter Leah in place of Rachel. Jacob, blinded by love and the dim light, remained unaware of the substitution until the morning light revealed the truth. Jacob, enraged and heartbroken, confronted Laban about the cruel trick played upon him. Leah, caught in the crossfire of her father's deceit and Jacob's unrequited love, bore the brunt of the heartache. Though she entered the marriage under false pretenses, she carried a deep love for Jacob, a love that was met with indifference and longing for another. Despite the difficult circumstances, Leah found solace in motherhood. She bore Jacob 4 sons in quick succession, Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah. Each son a testament to her love for Jacob, each birth a flicker of hope for his affection. However, Jacob, still consumed by his love for Rachel, remained distant. He saw Leah's children as reminders of his forced union, further fueling his desire to be with Rachel. Leah's story is a poignant reminder of the pain inflicted by unrequited love and the collateral damage of deceit. Laban, confronted by Jacob's fury, offered a compromise. He agreed to allow Jacob to marry Rachel, his true love, after a further 7 years of labor. Driven by his unwavering love for Rachel, Jacob agreed to this new bargain. And so, Jacob served another 7 years, his love for Rachel fueling his determination. These years were marked by a complex mix of emotions, the joy of working towards his goal, the frustration of Laban's continued manipulation, and the constant tension between Leah and Rachel. Finally, the long-awaited day arrived. Jacob, having fulfilled his end of the bargain, took Rachel as his wife. The celebration, though not without its undercurrents of tension, marked the beginning of a new chapter in Jacob's life. The rivalry between the sisters, however, did not cease with Rachel's marriage to Jacob. The years that followed were marked by both joy and sorrow. Rachel, initially unable to conceive, watched as Leah bore son after son. This fueled a sense of rivalry and desperation, leading her to give Jacob her maidservant Bilhah as a surrogate. Bilhah bore Jacob 2 sons, Dan and Naphtali, further complicating the already tangled family dynamics. Leah, not to be outdone, offered her maidservant Zilpah to Jacob. Zilpah gave birth to Gad and Asher. Finally, Rachel's prayers were answered, and she gave birth to a son, Joseph. Jacob's love for Rachel overflowed onto Joseph, making him his clear favorite. This favoritism, however, would sow seeds of jealousy and resentment among his other sons. Years passed, and Jacob's flocks and family continued to grow. He had amassed considerable wealth, but his relationship with Laban remained strained. Laban, envious of Jacob's prosperity, changed his wages several times, creating a rift between them. Sensing Laban's growing hostility and guided by a message from God, Jacob decided it was time to leave Haran and return to his homeland. He secretly gathered his wives, children, and possessions, and under the cover of darkness, they slipped away. Laban, upon discovering Jacob's flight, was enraged. He pursued Jacob, determined to bring him back or seize his wealth. After a tense pursuit, Laban caught up with Jacob and his family. A confrontation ensued, fueled by years of resentment and mistrust. However, God intervened, appearing to Laban in a dream and warning him not to harm Jacob. Fearful and humbled, Laban agreed to part ways with Jacob peacefully. They made a covenant with each other, marking the boundary of their respective territories with a pile of stones. As Jacob journeyed towards Canaan, news reached him that Esau, with a retinue of 400 men, was approaching. Fear gripped Jacob's heart. The memory of his brother's vow to kill him came flooding back, amplified by the passage of time and the weight of his guilt. Jacob, desperate to appease his brother and ensure his family's safety, devised a plan. He divided his camp into two, hoping that if Esau attacked one, the other might escape. He then sent wave after wave of gifts ahead of him, a lavish offering of livestock intended to soften Esau's heart. That night, alone in his tent, wrestling with his fear and uncertainty, Jacob had a profound encounter. He wrestled with a mysterious figure, later revealed to be an angel of the Lord. This struggle marked a turning point in Jacob's life, a moment of spiritual transformation. Jacob, though wounded, emerged from the struggle a changed man, given a new name, Israel, meaning he who strives with God. The next morning Jacob, limping from his encounter with the angel, finally came face to face with Esau. The years melted away as they looked at each other, two brothers reunited after decades of separation. Jacob bowed low before Esau, a gesture of both submission and respect. To Jacob's immense relief, Esau ran to meet him, embracing him warmly. The years of bitterness and anger seemed to dissolve in that moment, replaced by a wave of forgiveness and brotherly love. Esau, moved by Jacob's sincerity and overwhelmed by the sight of his brother's family, wept openly. Jacob's lavish gifts, intended as a peace offering, were initially refused by Esau. He had long since moved on from the perceived injustices of the past. However, Jacob insisted, urging Esau to accept the gifts as a token of his love and a symbol of their renewed relationship. And so after years of separation, deceit, and hardship, Jacob and Esau were reconciled. The shadow of the past lifted, replaced by the promise of a new beginning. The story of their reunion serves as a powerful reminder of the importance of forgiveness, the enduring strength of family bonds, and the transformative power of reconciliation. The story of Jacob and Esau, woven into biblical history, offers profound lessons that resonate across millennia. It speaks to the complexities of family relationships and the redemptive power of forgiveness. Jacob's journey illustrates the transformative potential of confronting our flaws and seeking atonement. Esau's story reflects the liberating nature of forgiveness. His willingness to embrace Jacob paved the way for healing and reconciliation. Their story highlights the importance of letting go of grudges and choosing compassion over resentment. The tale of Jacob and Esau underscores the enduring consequences of our actions. Jacob's deception cast a long shadow over his life, leading to years of separation and fear of retribution. His story reminds us that our choices have ripple effects impacting not only ourselves but also those around us. Despite its ancient origins, the story of Jacob and Esau retains a timeless relevance. It speaks to the universal struggles of ambition, jealousy, forgiveness, and the enduring power of family ties. Their story reminds us of the importance of empathy, compassion, and the courage to seek forgiveness. The themes of reconciliation and forgiveness resonate deeply in a world often fractured by conflict. The story of Jacob and Esau offers hope, showing the possibility of bridging divides and finding common ground. It encourages us to approach conflict with humility and seek understanding, rather than retribution. Passed down through generations, the story continues to inspire and offer guidance. It reminds us that even in dark times, redemption and reconciliation are possible. It speaks to the enduring power of family, the transformative nature of forgiveness, and the importance of striving for peace. We will continue with another beautiful story from Bible in our next video. Subscribe so that you will not miss it. Thanks for watching.